Holy shit, I just watched Attack on Titan and it's fucking amazing. By the way, I've already been corrected. That's not Attack on Titan. I don't give a shit. That's what Hulu calls us. That's what I'm calling it. Also, I watch in dub, so you keep your gatekeeping bullshit to yourself. Anyways, we're gonna fucking sculpt a bust of Eren's Attack Titan, and I'm fucking excited. I hope you're excited. I have my references, blender's ready to go, and mini-me's all set. Let's do this. I'm using the elastic deform brush as we're just moving it around, man. Like, we need to make the shoulders, and then we push in the face, and I use the crease tool to push in if I want to push into different forms. All right, so some quick and dirty, like muscle fiber direction, right? The muscle striations, clay strips, and I scribble in the direction of the fibers. You take a sphere, you mirror it to the face, and then you move it where you need it to go. And I think you guys can figure that part out. Eyelids are folds of skin that are laying on top of eyeballs, and so it helps out a lot with the composition and putting everything else into place. I'm making sure I'm using plenty of references, multiple Eren photos, different perspectives of his Titan form, and then I'm also using muscle anatomy references so that way I know what I'm sculpting on top of. So teeth are obnoxious but necessary. I sculpted the tooth, I mirrored it to the face, duplicate many times. Once you have the bottom row, you can duplicate the whole row, flip it over, and now you have the whole bottom row. Make sure to rearrange the teeth once you're done with them. For the tongue, I just took a cone and I shoved it in his mouth, I remeshed it, and then we posed it around, and it looked like a tongue. You know, you just start off with a primitive, make the shape into the shape that you want it to be. Pretty simple. Also, side note, I want to talk about a few things. Where my videos are going, what the fuck I'm doing. I want to teach, but I don't want it to be a tutorial. You know what I mean? I don't know. Because, like, tutorials are boring as shit. I want it to be entertaining. I want it to be fun, but with, like, a lot of learning ingrained in the process itself. I want to talk about what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, why I'm doing it, but also have fun and hopefully have it be a thing that people can have fun watching, you know? I've just been struggling with that a lot, and I hope soon I can figure that out. I tried using a hair add-on and it just turned out horribly. It's like weird little snaky noodle things and they're gross. What I ended up using, this dude called Jan Sculpts. I followed his tutorial. I'll leave a link down below to where you can find his tutorial. That's what I use for sculpting anime hair, making anime hair. It's really weird doing that in 3D, but it can be done. All right, let's slap some quick materials on there so that way we can better visualize what's happening. So I took another cone. Remember, Shift A, mesh, cone, you know all this stuff. You got this. I took the cone and I squished it. I made it a small cone and then I squished it again, but like flat. And I'm going to turn this using elastic deform. I'm going to turn it into an ear. I kept it a separate object because I always misplace my ears. Now, once I was happy with it, select both objects, the face and the ears, and then press Ctrl J and it'll join the two objects. But when you go back into the sculpting tab, the ear is going to be a different color. So you do a remesh and now everything is together. The gums sit on top of the roots. The roots are underneath the gums, and so you have to consider that when you're sculpting the gums. So in the show, there was not enough detail. I wanted more detail, so I put in more detail. I looked at a facial anatomy, facial muscular anatomy reference, and I just like threw in some guidelines into Eren's face. Even though he has two jaws, I tried to make as much sense as possible. I filled in the guidelines with clay strips. I did the same technique, you know, you just go the direction of the striations. muscle striations, and wrinkles. Wrinkles are more organic in like form. It's a lot more wiggly and snake-like. I usually do a small circular motion because I want it to look like mounds pushing against, running into each other. It's like bulginess, you know. I don't know, man. Something that I thought was important was the teeth needed to be spicified because I thought that would be cool. And that's the only reason. We're at the end of the sculpting. We're pretty much at the end, so I turned off mirror. You don't want him to look like a perfectly mirrored character because it just doesn't look right. There's always imperfections and slightly different facial features on different sides. You know what I mean? / that's going to isolate your object, and now you can sculpt on it without all the other objects in the way. And then to get out of the isolation mode, you're gonna hit / again. Alright, so let's fucking 3D print this thing. We're gonna give it a quick 0, which everything's pretty much done on its own, and then we're gonna fill it up with a beige resin because he's beige, you know, like I think that makes sense. And once everything's all set up, we basically just press print and it prints. 8 hours later, we have a pretty cool looking Titan sculpture. And now it's all covered in gunky resin, so we're gonna clean it up with alcohol, and we're just gonna shove it into a big old bath, and it's gonna spin around and clean it. And yeah, it needs to be put in front of an artificial sun and then spin around for a little bit. So far it looks great, but obviously there's a bunch of shit in the way, so we got to clean up all the supports. And it's very meticulous because all the hair pieces are so fragile, and it took me 45 goddamn minutes. All right, so I didn't clean up all the supports perfectly. You know, there's still like little chunky bits, little nips and ticks and stuff like that. So we're gonna sand them down until it's all smooth, and then we're gonna do a black wash. Same as always, man, just acrylic and water, and you just put it all over the sculpture and wipe it off with a towel, and it's gonna leave all the crevices all dark. And then just like different layers, like there was some purple, there was some red, there was some brown, and then I did like the red tongue and the white teeth, white eyes. So something cool that I like to think about is like art in general is pushing and pulling. So I find painting to be similar to sculpture in the fact of like self-doubt. So you put paint on and then you put more paint on, and it just feels, and it's like you're pushing and pulling with lights and darks, whereas with a sculpture you're pushing and pulling and building and subtracting. I think my normal painting style, which is like impressionistic kind of impressionism, I like brush strokes. I like seeing the brushes. I think it works great for the sculpture. I like, it looks fucking fantastic because it looks cartoony. We're gonna finish it all up with clear gloss, and that's gonna keep the teeth and the tongue and the eyes, it's gonna make them look wet. I'm excited for all the stuff that I have going on. I can't make it fast enough. It takes so long. I'm gonna get back into Betty White. I just kind of like put her on hold. I'm really happy we got to share this experience with each other. I hope you liked it. I know I liked it. I talked about it enough. And man, if you made it this far, that's fucking cool. Thank you so much for watching.